Let's talk now to Cynthia Stimpel. She herself is a whistleblower. She worked as the group treasurer at SAA. She spoke out about a fraudulent transaction worth over 200 million rand. Cynthia, thank you so much for your time. We really do appreciate it. When you heard that Dudu Myeni had revealed the name of a protected witness, what were your thoughts?
Thank you very much for having me. I was actually sitting in Zondo at the time because I came that entire week to listen to both Ms. Kwinane's testimony as well as Ms. Myeni's. And I was totally shocked because right up front, Deputy Justice Zondo stated the rules about, in the next questions, that the name Mr. X should be referred to only, and so did Ms. Kate, Advocate Kate Hofmeyr. So those were all explained up front, and they referred to various sections when Ms. Myeni had signed the affidavit that she needed to comply with certain sections, and they quoted those sections. So when I heard this, yes, I was in shock because I thought for me, it was just a deliberate attempt on her side or to mention the person's name.
Do you think it's a good thing the Commission is pursuing criminal charges in this regard?
Yes, I think the rule of law needs to be followed. We've too long not abided by the rule of law, and I'm saying we because I'm looking at the bigger picture in our country. But yes, I think it's a good thing.
You know, it's interesting. You yourself are a whistleblower, and I will just you know, and you also obviously know Dudu Myeni. You spoke out against Dudu Myeni when the board decided to bring in BNP Capital, I think, as an advisor. You picked up that it was an unusual transaction. The fees were vastly escalated, and ultimately you told your superiors you wouldn't sign it off. But then it was signed off in your absence. That is my understanding in a nutshell of what happened. You were then suspended, given a small settlement, early retirement. So there were massive consequences for you deciding to go against the grain of potential corruption and speak out. Do you think that we have a society that is getting better at protecting our whistleblowers?
It's going to take time. Right now, in our current scenario and atmosphere of our country, no, whistleblowers are not being protected. We have the legislation, the Protected Disclosures Act, and even if you look and you unpack each of the components, there are sections that can be used against the whistleblower by the organizations who deem that they do not want to go the protected disclosures route for that particular whistleblower. So, for instance, in the PDA, it states that the whistleblower should not suffer any occupational detriment. But that does not happen. What happens is the organization will look at other issues like misconduct, confidential information, leaking of the information, etc. What should really happen is once the person discloses, the company should actually allow that whole process to follow till the end. And the company should allow the whistleblower to have equal rights to the same level of legal representation. So, for instance, if they're going to take a Weber Wenzel, the client needs to have an equal, like a cliff deck type.
Yeah, I suppose otherwise you're the small person trying to fight against this big corporation. I just want to get back to your experiences. You were a group treasurer at SAA, and this particular case that you highlighted, that you flagged as problematic, was that the very first time you'd seen anything suspicious, or was it the straw that broke the camel's back for you?
I think, well, in my work and my responsibility at SAA, that was the first time in my area. What you do here is corridor talk, you know, in the passageway, but it's not your area and you don't know enough facts. What I did know prior to that was the Airbus transaction, because that happened in December 2015. And then in March was the transaction advisor, so a couple of months later. So that one we knew about because we got the information, again, after the fact via within the organization that a separate Section 54 application had gone directly to National Treasury, and although there was already an approval, so that we knew, and National Treasury acted on that immediately.
I just want
so
to
it's not something that I could have had influence
I understand.
on.
I just want to, I suppose, get one quick question before
that no one should be instructing them to do anything that is contrary to our governance processes or our policies, and that they should be able to stand up and speak against it. And then the transaction advisor happened, which I tried to stop within my sphere of control at the time, and still was unable to. And it still went to board for approval. And when I realized I couldn't do anything at that level, I took it higher to the National Treasury and then further out.
Very quickly, because we're running out of time, and I really wish we had longer to talk. I'm so sorry. But as someone who's really been involved in the fortunes of SAA and the money, do you believe that SAA is likely corruption-free these days? Has it sorted itself out? Do you believe it can and should be rescued?
My personal view at this stage, I don't think so. I know that they were given the 10.5 billion. I don't know if the cash has moved yet, but that's been earmarked for SAA. The bulk of that is actually going to settle debt, as far as I'm aware, and probably for the retrenchment of the staff. But then how does it kickstart the organization to get it back into gear and start running effectively and perhaps turn around and make a profit? So right now, my personal view is no. I see that SAA, although there is excellent staff, there is excellent pilots, but it's in its balance sheet was always skewed, and I don't know how they're going to fix that. And really, for where our country is right now, we should be putting the money in health and education rather than in SAA. So that's my personal view. Thank you.
And thank you so much for chatting to us this evening. We really do appreciate your time. Cynthia Stimpel, former Group Treasurer at SAA and a whistleblower who spoke up about a dodgy contract at the national carrier. Still ahead.